Enterprise Stories is the weekly radio program that shares the experiences of successful Nigerian entrepreneurs and provides expert analysis of their success factors. Enterprise Stories, business stories of success.
Enterprise Stories share stories of business successes in Nigeria. Welcome to Enterprise Stories. My name is Olawale Anifoshe. In this episode, I will be speaking to a man that made a fortune from his own misfortune. Risk management is our topic today in our teaching segment, and we will be understanding risk and how to manage it well. We will be back with this and more after the break from Stanbic IBTC.
When you are successful in your small business, as I am, people will always come to you. They want to know what you're doing differently, who your bankers are, and what kind of deals you are getting from them. Well, I'm happy to enjoy all the benefits of the SME0COT account from Stanbic IBTC Bank. My profit is up. But why? Because I get 0 COT, unlimited turnover, no limit on check lodgement or withdrawals, free internet and telephone banking, as well as discount on training courses for small business owners. With special benefits like that on the SME0COT account from Stanbic IBTC Bank. Now, there is no reason why your business won't boom just like mine.
Stanbic IBTC Bank, moving forward.
Hello listeners, my name is Bayo Rotimi, your faculty on today's edition of Enterprise Stories. Today we're going to run the beginning of a two-part serial which focuses on the subject of risk management. Risk management is particularly relevant to all businesses. Let us start with a basic definition of the subject matter. Risk is described as the possibility of an adverse or a negative outcome. As a matter of fact, the Chinese describe risk as two sides of the same coin. On one side of the coin, portends danger. On the other side, immense opportunity. So what that means ultimately is that at the back of risk emerges significant opportunity. So it is really about your ability as a business to manage risk. You can limit but cannot completely eliminate the risk. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to spend a couple of minutes trying to understand this business of risk and more importantly how it can be managed. In the second part of the serial, we will talk about the risks that are specific to SMEs. So 3 critical steps. Number 1, you have to identify the risk. Number 2, you have to quantify the risks that your business faces, because it's in the process of quantifying it that you will determine whether your business can absorb that risk in the event that it crystallizes. Number 3 is how to manage the risk. Ultimately in life, you cannot completely eliminate risk. All you need to do is to take what we call acceptable risks. And that is what we're going to try to achieve over the next 2 programs. Now, specific risks facing small and medium scale enterprises. It starts from the ownership of the business. That is really the first challenge for the small and the growing business. Usually the business is owned by one dominant individual. That individual is practically everything to the company. He's the chief executive, he's the chairman of the board, he's the chief financial officer, he's the chief technical officer. This gentleman or this lady does everything. So in the event that something unfortunate or untoward happens to this person, then the business is at risk. And one simple way of mitigating that is for you as quickly as possible to build a structure. And a structure means that you put together a team, a dedicated, qualified team that can manage the different components of your business, which means that you as the visionary, yes, you will remain, you will be the driving force of the business, but in the event that you even wake up one day and you want to do something else, that business has the structure, it has the capacity to run on its own. So risk number 1, ownership structure, a sole proprietorship. How is that risk mitigated? You put together a team, however small, however informal. Give them specific responsibilities, train them, build their capacity, build their confidence, and let the business run independent of you. As a manager of a business, you should be able to take a vacation for 2 or 3 weeks and not live in perpetual fear that the business will collapse before you come back. So your success as a manager of a business is dependent on your ability to build a structure around you and build a business that can run independent of you. Number 2, ladies and gentlemen, leverage. And by leverage, I mean debt. By all means, every business in the course of its growth will need to borrow money from external parties. Remember that your capital in your business will typically come from either equity, which is the owner's contribution, or debt, which is monies you borrow from third parties. Third parties may be banks and other financial institutions. Now, by all means, debt has its own advantages, but please ensure that you do not take more than you have the capacity to manage. And the capacity means, does your business generate sufficient cash flows to be able to service both the interest as well as the principal component of the debt? A lot of viable businesses have run aground simply because they were unable to manage the quantum of debt that they took on board, and suddenly the business was put under significant pressure. Your critical way to deal with debt is always to manage and monitor very closely the cash flow generating capacity of your business. It is that will determine the extent to which you can take on debt. Number 3, finally, ladies and gentlemen, it is important to know how to manage competition. Competition has one singular objective: to take your customers away by offering them better services or offering the same services at a lower cost. So it is important for you to ensure that you deliver every single day quality. That quality assurance is not to be compromised. So one of the ways you can stave off competition is by delivering quality. Also, it is about looking for ways of delivering the same qualitative product or service but at a lower cost, which means you must be efficient. It means you must employ efficient means of production so that you deliver quality, non-negotiable, but at the same time you deliver it at a price that is lower than the next person. That is the only way you can remain in business and overcome the significant threat that is posed by competition. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to end the very first part of our discussion today. Join us next week as we discuss the second part of risk management. Thank you.
My brother, you see, for this our import and export business, no be who go China pass na be the issue. Now who you dey follow talk na im matter, Who you dey follow talk as how? The expert then we sabi the business of import and export in toto. People like Stanbic IBTC Bank.
Stanbic IBTC? Na person name be that?
Stanbic IBTC Bank na my bank, and then sabi my business well.
Announcing the arrival of Flight 220 from China.
Doing business in China? Come, let's talk about how our expertise and understanding of the import and export business will help you grow and trade smarter. With Stanbic IBTC Bank, you have access to import and export trade finance, letters of credit, telegraphic transfer, bills for collection, and other well-tailored trade advice that moves you forward. For more information, visit www.stanbicibtc.com or call our number 0700 2255 782 6242. Stanbic IBTC, moving forward.
We are back. Our guest today is Mr. Francis Okpani, the CEO of Otus Brown Rice Limited. You're welcome to Enterprise Stories.
Welcome.
Okay, Mr. Francis is going to be sharing a story with us today of how Otus Brown Rice all started. Mr. Francis, how did they all start?
Well, started from some necessities around me. My general way of life is that I eat a lot of rice, and at some point unknown to me, I discovered that my sugar level had gone very high. So I was looking for a solution. I did a lot of studies, consulted medical people, consulted health people, and everybody said you needed to change your diet from your regular rice to brown rice if you must continue with rice. So a lot of study went into it, and there was this instruction that I must avoid synthetic brown rice. So when I walked around the entire Lagos, I couldn't find the natural brown rice. I decided to go to my hometown where I knew I can find it in Ebonyi State. Finally, I found the natural brown rice, milled it, came back, used it, and over 3 months, the situation changed for good. So I realized that a lot of people may have the same need as I did, and that it was necessary to get them to know about it. At this point, I was still working as a project manager for telecom communications. So by the time I did my analysis of the entire situation, I decided that it would be necessary to get into making people know about this health products, because it actually helped me. Although I do not suggest or state that brown rice cures diabetics. No, that's not my claim. But I know that it helped me, and that's the message I'm saying. So that's the inspiration I had. And then by the time I surveyed the possibility of getting the paddies and all that, my thought was just to make it very small, put it in nylon bag, let people have it that would need it. But I realized that it could become a real business after doing the analysis. And I had to leave my job and faced the production and said, let me get it to the public, let them know what I have.
Okay. Now, it's not easy leaving your job and going to production of brown rice, especially in a community or an area where, an environment where everyone likes the normal rice. What are those things that you've been doing to educate people so that they will buy your rice? I have seen the pack, and of course, when I saw the pack, it looks very nice and all. I've tried it before. I mean, the first time you gave it to me, I tried it. But what are those things you've done to be able to get people to start buying into it?
Yes. Let me tell you this. In this country, a lot of people are looking for how to be healthy because so many things are happening. Take, for instance, companies pick up staff, train them. By the time you know it, they are sick, they are this, that, and all that. They are not able to give their maximum to the company. So most organizations are now emphasizing healthy living. And because of this, one of the things I have done to make people begin to scout for healthy rice, because I must warn, in the country at the moment, we have so much, rice has become the staple food. Everywhere, in every party, every family, there must be rice. But nobody has taken time to understand the health implication of these things we are gulping down. And so recently, yesterday, I had a session with the Association of Nigerian Dietitians in Lagos, and this issue was well discussed. And we all saw that we have to readdress the kind of rice we eat in the country based on its health implications. And this Otus brown rice was widely endorsed. Well, because of this, I am doing a lot to educate people, which this program is one, to let people understand that you cannot be healthier than what you eat. So if you want to live healthy, you have to eat healthy. And to eat healthy, you need to go for what you're sure can manage your health. For instance, brown rice is a whole grain, and whole grains are known to be very, very friendly with the human body. So that's one strong advantage that the medical experts are seeing on this brown rice. Again, two major things in the brown rice that has made it very, very important for especially those who are concerned about their sugar intake is that it has high level of fiber. Analysis has been done. I have done that myself with my public analyst for purposes of NAFDAC registrations.
If you're just joining us on Enterprise Stories, we are talking with Mr. Francis Okpani, the CEO of Otus Brown Rice, and he has been sharing with us how he started his rice business out of necessity. Now, I've been thinking for some time about I like normal rice, and I know a lot of other people like it. But considering the health benefits, which you've just stated, what are some of the other things that you are thinking of doing to promote this further and to also hit your bottom line? Now, I know that you've been doing about 3,000 packs of this a month, and you are about to expand your process or your manufacturing ability to go as high as 5,000 a month. What are those things that you are doing to build capacity to achieve this?
Yeah, at the moment, what we're doing is to raise a mill that will start construction by this September, and by December 2013, it will be commissioned. By next year, we expect to sell up to 157,000 cartons.
Wow.
Because
a month?
The whole year.
Oh, for the whole year.
For the whole year. So, because of that, the paddy has been an issue. So what we have done is to get back to the farmers, because farmers could not compete with the white rice who were doing this before, so it extincted. So what we have done is to run serious campaign within 15 local communities that plant rice across Ebonyi State, Cross River State, and some parts of Benue State, so that they are now back to planting brown rice for us, which we will pick up by November, December. That makes the availability of paddy possible. And because of this, by the time we get the equipment, put it together by December, we are sure that the capacity will be there. That has also created a lot of employment opportunities for people.
Yes.
By installing that, at the moment, we have about 12 people working for us full-time, plus other daily workers.
Yes.
Once we are installed, we will be hiring 34 full-time staff by December.
In addition to the 12. Okay.
And that will boost employment with a lot of other things that will be going on that non-permanent staff will be doing.
Okay, let's talk about some of the challenges.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been able to achieve some very good successes in the last few years of doing this. But what are those challenges that you've had, especially in the area of finance? Because I believe you would need funding for you to be able to do this expansion and to achieve some other things that you have done in the past. How has funding been for you?
Funding has been a serious issue with us, and I must tell young entrepreneurs in Nigeria to take this matter seriously. The funds are there, but the problem is how your company can be rated to achieve it. So what has happened is that because we were unable to agree with some of the financial institutions on terms, especially the last one we had with a bank, everything was firmed up, but the moratorium period was an issue. So we haven't been able to resolve the moratorium period because they like the program, the product and everything, but the policy of 6 months moratorium was an issue. So what we are doing at the moment is that we are going for equity participation of people, and they are quite enthusiastic seeing the product. One other challenge I want to highlight here is this. When I was trying to design the packaging of this product, I just couldn't make any headway. It was difficult, almost impossible, because I'm not a graphic artist. I did everything to get a graphic artist to put it together for me. For 6 weeks, he could not respond to my call. I took the challenge. I said, I'm going to do this myself. I didn't know the kind of software to use or whatever. But I walked into the market, bought materials, put them together, took the photographs, assembled them the way I can, and I put it together, went to the cyber cafe and said, look, boy, this is what I want you to do. I directed him from step to step. At the end of it all, people have been calling me. Somebody has called me from Maryland, the United States, to say, look, this product, your packaging is excellent and it stands out in the whole world. Another woman has called me from Abuja. She said, you have made Nigeria proud for this kind of packaging. So I'm saying that some of these challenges, they actually came, and because I had decided to succeed, each of them that came, I dealt with it. That of registrations with many agencies and all that is a big problem for young entrepreneurs in Nigeria, because their standards are higher than what you contemplated before going into the business. So you couldn't put all that together. Yeah. But once you have decided to succeed, there's always a way of solving those problems. And I have gotten over those issues at the moment.
Yes, indeed. I have seen your package, so I'm endorsing it on the radio right now.
Okay.
The packaging does meet international standard.
Yes.
Now, in rounding up, the first thing I wanted to share before we round up is that maybe you need to speak with another bank, and I would recommend Stanbic IBTC to you. I'm sure they'll be able to help you out, especially in the area of your equipment for your expansion. But in rounding up, you said some interesting thing about young people, and I would like you to say something to them today, especially those of them that are thinking of going into production or manufacturing of this type of food item.
The only thing I tell anybody that wants to go into anything is to decide to succeed. Once you've made that determination, because there are going to be challenges, serious challenges. But if you have decided that you're going to succeed, you will have the tenacity it takes. I've gone through the mills, but it's worth it because I decided to succeed. As I speak to you now, next week I'll be at the Economic Summit, and I'm going to make positive impact. I'm going to tell whole Nigerians that if we decide to succeed, we can succeed. Doesn't matter the challenges we're having.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Francis Okpani. Listeners, we've come to the end of the Story of the Day segment, and we have been listening to Mr. Francis Okpani, the CEO of Otus Brown Rice Limited, and he has said it in a nutshell. If you decide to succeed, you will succeed. Thank you. We'll be right back after the short break.
When you are successful in your small business, as I am, people will always come to you. They want to know what you're doing differently, who your bankers are, and what kind of deals you are getting from them. Well, I'm happy to enjoy all the benefits of the SME0COT account from Stanbic IBTC Bank. My profit is up. But why? Because I get 0 COT, unlimited turnover, no limit on check lodgement or withdrawals, free internet and telephone banking, as well as discount on training courses for small business owners. With special benefits like that on the SME0COT account from Stanbic IBTC Bank. Now, there is no reason why your business won't boom just like mine.
Stanbic IBTC Bank, moving forward.
You're tuned in to Enterprise Stories, brought to you by Stanbic IBTC and Enterprise Development Center of the Pan Atlantic University.
Welcome back. We are now in the analysis segment, and we've heard a very interesting story of Otus Brown Rice, the man that made a fortune from his own misfortune. Bayo, what's your take?
Thank you very much, Wale. I listened carefully to Francis's interview, and indeed I must say that I am extremely proud of his achievements and his commitment to quality in terms of his product as well as the packaging of that product. Ladies and gentlemen, he started his business on account of necessity. He saw an opportunity to meet an unmet demand. And for a number of entrepreneurs who are or would be entrepreneurs, this is one of the ways to determine what line of business to go into. You need to look at where there is a shortfall in the market, or a particular need that is not being met, or a particular need that could be delivered in a more qualitative manner. So Francis was able, through his own personal experience, was able to venture into a business. Francis also keyed into something that is very strategic. He saw that there was a general movement in the social environment, and people were increasingly moving towards making healthy choices. Health consciousness has become something that is of increasing importance amongst Nigerians. So it meant that he was selling a product, offering a product into a growing market. And that is a critical step, a critical success factor for any business. You must identify the market, and you must be able to determine whether the market is large enough or will be sustainable enough to keep you in business over the long term. Francis also did something interesting. He realized that he needed to create an awareness campaign because he was going up against a product that had gained wide acceptance. The average Nigerian is used to your processed and your bleached, your white rice. and he now wanted to sell something different and realized that to be able to break into that market, he needed to create awareness. And one of the ways he set about doing this was getting endorsements from opinion molders, from key stakeholders, from trade groups and associations. Again, this is something that we recommend to a lot of entrepreneurs, especially if you are trying to introduce a new product or you are trying to compete against an established product. It is important that you get people to try and test your product or service, and those that are satisfied with it now go on out to provide some degree of endorsement. Another thing that was interesting about Francis's business was his plan to increase capacity. Francis has a plan to increase capacity 5-fold over the next 1 to 2 years, according to him. Now, for him to be able to do that, and for any business that is seeking to increase capacity, funding becomes a significant hurdle that you must overcome. And naturally, he went to the banks and he struggled, and he's still not yet able to access bank finance. One basic or general advice I would offer to entrepreneurs is engage with multiple banks at the same time, right? So that you let each bank know that you are talking to somebody else, and try to create a bit of competition, because you are building a business that has value, that is meeting a need, and hopefully will become larger and become an institution going forward. So engage multiple financial institutions. At the same time, also engage alternative financing sources. And he looked at the equity providers. Equity is a form of long-term capital. It gives the business the ability to grow at a rapid rate and embark upon long-term sustainable growth. So in the course of your financing or your financing strategy, flexibility is critical. Francis tried the banks. There was a lot of delay. The terms and conditions were not quite right for his business. And that is another critical lesson. Please ensure that the terms and conditions of the financing you accept is one that is suited to your business. Otherwise, it will put your business's cash flow under pressure and may ultimately lead to a default. He insisted on having a moratorium, which is a period where he will not need to start paying back the principal. So it will give his business the opportunity to stabilize and for cash flows to be regular and consistent before he starts servicing. So please ensure that you make every effort to get the best possible financing terms. Finally, he talked about packaging, and he decided that the quality of the product will be enhanced by its packaging. And this is definitely something I recommend to every entrepreneur or every producer of something. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Thank you, Bayo, for your clinical analysis. Listeners, we've come to the end of Enterprise Stories for this week. I hope you learned from this week's story. It is important to know that there's an entrepreneur in everyone, and every time you look out there, there's an opportunity. You might be the next one we'll be sharing a story about. Until next week, stay blessed. Join Enterprise Development Center of the Pan-Atlantic University, formerly known as the Pan-African University, as we celebrate 10 years of entrepreneurship development in Nigeria. For questions and comments, please email edc@pau.edu.ng or log on to Enterprise Stories on nigeria.sme2kit.org for useful resources and articles to help grow your business.